In a dramatic escalation of North American trade tensions, Ontario has launched a $110 billion countermeasure against the United States, marking the first major economic action under Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney's leadership. The province has imposed a 25% tariff on electricity exports to the U.S., impacting millions of American households. There is only one person responsible for this trade war, and that is President Trump, declared Ontario Premier Doug Ford, announcing the surcharge that will affect 1.5 million homes across Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. This measure comes in response to President Trump's decision to double tariffs on Canadian aluminum and steel. American households in affected states will see monthly electricity bills increase by approximately $100, while Ontario stands to generate between $300,000 to $400,000 in daily revenue. This move demonstrates Canada's hardening stance against U.S. trade policies. Prime Minister Mark Carney, facing his first major international challenge since taking office, must navigate these turbulent waters. The former Bank of England governor's economic expertise is being put to the test as he manages this crisis. The timing coincides with increasing global energy market volatility. Ontario's decision could influence international energy pricing and trade patterns. Premier Ford has indicated that the province is prepared to increase the tariff further if the U.S. continues its aggressive stance. For American consumers, the impact will be immediate. The 1.5 million affected households are bracing for higher utility bills, adding to existing inflationary pressures. Energy experts warn this could lead to a domino effect in regional energy markets. The situation remains fluid, with both nations' leadership watching for potential escalation or compromise. As this trade dispute unfolds, the question remains: will this move by Ontario force a reconsideration of U.S. trade policies, or lead to further retaliation from the Trump administration? In a significant escalation of trade tensions between the United States and Canada, Ontario has implemented a 25% tariff on electricity exports to the U.S., potentially creating a $110 billion annual burden on American energy imports. This move marks one of the most substantial retaliatory measures in recent North American trade relations. Ontario Premier Doug Ford emphasized the relationship between the two nations, stating, "The two strongest, most resilient, wealthiest, and safest nations in the world need to build on our strengths, not our weaknesses." Ford confirmed discussions with 3 U.S. governors who understand the situation. The province has also taken additional measures, removing American alcohol from Ontario Liquor Control Board shelves and barring U.S. companies from government procurement contracts. These actions complement the federal government's existing $30 billion retaliatory tariffs on American goods. The electricity tariff, implemented through Energy Minister Stephen Lexie's directive, requires generators to apply a tariff response charge on U.S.-bound electricity sales. Ontario maintains the flexibility to adjust these charges based on U.S. actions. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz criticized the underlying U.S. policies, stating, "The first victims of Trump's trade war are Minnesotans struggling to pay skyrocketing utility bills." Michigan officials expressed concerns about grid reliability. Matt Helms of the Michigan Public Service Commission warned that disrupting the interconnected power system would remove a layer of protection and make us all more vulnerable to grid-scale disruptions. In New York, Governor Kathy Hochul has ordered a review of the tariff's impact on state energy costs. The situation mirrors similar trade tensions seen in other global conflicts, where energy markets have become increasingly weaponized in international disputes. This development represents a new chapter in North American energy politics, with potential long-term implications for cross-border energy cooperation and regional economic stability. Trade tensions between Canada and the United States have intensified as Ontario's 25% electricity tariff sparks reactions from both sides. Former President Trump labeled Canada as a tariff abuser and declared that the U.S. no longer needs Canadian resources. Democratic Representative Hoyle criticized the situation, stating these measures have only served to destabilize our capital markets and create uncertainty among New York families and businesses. Ontario Premier Ford suggested using Alberta's energy resources as leverage, noting the province exports 4 million barrels of oil daily to the United States. Ford's message to Premier Danielle Smith suggested implementing an export tax, claiming it would raise U.S. gasoline prices by up to $1 per gallon. Alberta Premier Smith rejected this proposal, calling it ridiculous and self-destructive. She emphasized such measures would devastate the Canadian economy and eliminate thousands of jobs overnight. The situation intensifies with new Prime Minister Mark Carney, who secured 86% of the Liberal Party vote. Carney, former governor of both the Bank of Canada and Bank of England, inherits these challenges amid chaotic U.S. trade policies. The U.S. has imposed 25% tariffs on most Canadian and Mexican goods, with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick indicating steel and aluminum import tariffs will resume on March 12. Trump's statements about using economic leverage to make Canada the 51st state have heightened tensions. This trade dispute occurs against rising energy demand and environmental concerns, with Ontario's tariff increase reflecting both economic and environmental factors. As Carney prepares to call an election, his handling of these trade tensions will likely define his early leadership and shape Canada's economic future. In a bold declaration that's shaking North American trade relations, new Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney has stated firmly that America is not Canada, and Canada will never be part of America in any shape or form. Speaking after his victory, Carney, the former central bank chief, delivered what many call the most assertive Canadian response to U.S. trade aggression in recent history. "We didn't ask for this fight," Carney declared. "But Canadians are always ready when someone else drops the gloves. In trade, as in hockey, Canada will win." The Prime Minister has committed to maintaining retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods until Americans show us respect and make credible commitments to free and fair trade. Tariff revenues will fund worker protection programs. Carney's economic vision includes transforming Canada into an energy superpower and establishing new trade corridors. His proposed budget structure separates operating expenses from capital spending, allowing for infrastructure investments while maintaining fiscal discipline. Despite his experience managing financial crises in Canada and the UK, Carney faces political challenges. He doesn't hold a parliamentary seat and must navigate a minority government with an election due by October. The former Brookfield Asset Management chairman has proposed economic reforms, including reconsidering Liberal plans to raise capital gains tax and scrapping the consumer carbon tax. "This will not be business as usual," Carney emphasized. "We are going to have to do things we never imagined before at speeds we did not think possible." With Canadians boycotting American products and provinces seeking new trading partners, Carney's leadership arrives at a crucial moment. His immediate challenge will be deciding whether to call an early spring election or govern with opposition support during these trade tensions. Breaking news. Trade tensions escalate as new Canadian leadership takes bold stance. In a significant development reshaping North American trade relations, Ontario's recent 25% electricity tariff on U.S. exports has become a focal point of tensions between Canada and its southern neighbor. This story evolves under newly appointed Prime Minister Mark Carney, whose nomination has shifted the political landscape. Recent polling shows a turnaround for the Liberal Party, which has closed the gap with the Conservatives after trailing for over a year. However, this resurgence faces scrutiny. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has launched attack campaigns, demanding transparency from Carney regarding his business interests and financial holdings. The controversy intensified over Carney's involvement in Brookfield's headquarters relocation to New York. In response, Carney highlighted Poilievre's 2022 threats against Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem, arguing such behavior would undermine the Bank of Canada during critical economic uncertainty. The political battleground includes climate policy, with both leaders trading criticisms over environmental approaches. This debate comes as energy markets face unprecedented pressures. Ontario's electricity tariff decision represents a strategic move reshaping global energy markets and trade dynamics. As Prime Minister Carney navigates these waters, his leadership faces challenges: managing trade disputes, implementing energy policies, and maintaining diplomatic relations. The stakes are high for Canada's economic future. How Carney balances these interests while addressing domestic concerns will influence North American trade relations and global economic patterns. This story continues to develop, with implications beyond Canadian borders. Stay tuned for updates on these significant economic and political developments. For continuing coverage and its impact on global markets, subscribe to our channel. Thank you for joining us for this news update.